I want to bring on somebody who played in the NFL at a high level for a long time, LaVar Arrington. I want to bring him on. We don't get many in-person guests anymore, so we feel honored here to have LaVar Arrington on our show. Let's bring in LaVar, brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing. Pro Bowler, half the years he was in. Okay, so let me ask you this.
Let me get a fist pump. Yeah.
So I think it's the worst year I ever remember. I thought the candidates were great. I thought the hires were putrid. Nick Sirianni will not last 2 years. David Culley in Houston was desperate. And Dan Campbell acknowledges, I'm okay being a meathead. Be honest with me. Did you ever have a head coach or a position coach that, LaVar, you felt like going into the week you would be out-coached, that you felt you either had better instincts, you were smarter than, or you knew you didn't have an elite coach?
Oh, Colin, here's what's interesting about that question is more often than not, and the answer is yes, all right? The quick answer is yes. But the reasoning behind it is that's more often than not. If you think about the parity of comparison and competition in college and pros, and you wonder why the same teams win over and over and over again, it's probably because they have a great coaching staff. So many times, and I have been held to the highest accountability of being a player that was called uncoachable, undisciplined, a freelancer, didn't understand the game. If we took a Wonderlic test, guarantee you I'll score higher than all of them. Guaranteed. If we took an assessment of intelligence and intellect, guaranteed I'll score higher. But more often than not, because the loyalties and the focus always seems to fall on the players, really. I would rather say I'm riding with the coach, which is leadership, which is a direct connection to the team, and not hold them as accountable as the players, because players are generally more expendable. The next one on the list is the coach, but you're not going to throw coaches under the bus for being inept at being a great coach or not being a high-level, sophisticated person. It's interesting thinking about some of the position coaches. We talked about this off air.
So there's head coaches, coordinators, and position coaches. For the record,
sure, most
position coaches never even become coordinators. Forget head coaches.
Some get that fast track, right? They get that
right.
What is it called? Cronyism, and they they get the, what is it when it's the family? What's the word for the family deal? Nepotism. There you go, Joy. I played for plenty of coaches. When I played for Marty's brother was on
Marty Schottenheimer.
God bless him and rest his soul. I love Marty. Kurt was the defensive coordinator. Brian was on the staff, right? Probably had grandkids on the staff. Same with Joe Gibbs, right? Same with Coach Spurrier.
Same with Belichick now.
Same with Belichick. So these guys are same with Andy Reid. These guys bring in their people. And when I say their people, I mean their people. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're good at what they do. They just happen to be born of the right lineage to the right people, and that gives them the opportunity to make their way into the coaching ranks in that industry. So more often than not, the focal point isn't on those coaches, so you don't find yourself questioning their mental aptitude. So yes, there are a lot of underqualified people that are coaching. And that's why you see the same coaches, Colin. You see the same coaches because you got to keep that close to the vest. If me and you are cool and we can put on the straight face and say, this is how you're supposed to do media, this is how it's supposed to look, and we keep it together and it never leaks out, then you can maintain that, right? We can maintain that because we're on the same page.
Right.
But if you get people coming out saying, oh, the way Colin is doing, look at the way LaVar is doing. Oh, Joy, what's Joy doing? Like, if people start calling it out, then you start to bring the focal point onto it. So what you're doing right now is you're probably having some people sitting in their office who have you on right now on their television screen, and they're like, why did you pick LaVar Arrington to be the one to talk about this topic? Because he doesn't care. He's unconscious about telling people's business, and I'm going to do it right here in studio live, and I enjoy doing it.
I've said this before. I think the greater point you said early. I was thinking, it was so random. I was thinking about this driving to work today, that in the history of Nick Saban in the SEC, I think there's 2 or 3 times he's met his equal. I thought Chris Peterson at Washington brought a marginally talented team to the Final Four and actually gave him a game with no players. Chris Peterson could coach. He retired.
Can coach.
Urban Meyer could coach. He retired. And Dabo Swinney. Nick almost always. I mean, even Belichick has Sundays where you're like, oh, Andy Reid got him. Pete Carroll got him. Like, to your point, it's the reason the same guys win every year.
It's the reason.
Okay, so let me ask you about this. It's about the 4th story on Russell Wilson that gets out today. It's pretty obvious he's unhappy. And I made this argument. We celebrate a UFC boxing legend or star having an ego. He needs to, the shield.
The machismo.
We celebrate home run hitters, Reggie, Sammy Sosa, Ramirez. It's almost adorable. We celebrate NBA stars, Russell Westbrook. My best friend's the ball. Kind of makes him more likable, right? Jordan just whacks everybody, 10-part documentary. We're like, I love Michael. He crushes everybody. But if an NFL quarterback's got a little ego and don't want to fit in a box.
It's toxic.
Russell Wilson, like, all he wants is a say. I mean, do you ever play with quarterbacks have a.
Oh, I played with quarterbacks. I mean, I played with Jeff George.
Oh, he had an ego.
He had an ego. You know, I play with quarterbacks, and you're supposed to be the father figure, the leader, the calming force. You're supposed to be the one that's different from everyone when you have the quarterback's position as your position. You are the anointed leader of the team.
I get it.
Does that make it right or wrong? You know, people made fun of Jim McMahon for being too animated and kind of like a Looney Tune in terms of the type of guy that he was personality-wise.
He fit that roster.
But we loved him.
Well, and he fit that roster.
We loved him. There shouldn't be anything wrong with that. I mean, you see Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. I mean, and he's always been a fiery dude. You see him go head-to-head, not just with a player.
Honey Badger.
He goes ahead with Honey Badger don't care, right? He goes head-to-head with Honey Badger. And we love it. I just think it's selective. We're selective of when we have moments in time where we don't want to see a quarterback conduct himself or say things a certain type of way. You're seeing it with Deshaun Watson and the fallout. Deshaun hasn't really said anything at all.
Aaron Rodgers. We got to draft Jordan
with
Love.
Aaron Rodgers.
Everybody's trying to box in these stars quarterbacks, and I'm like, there's a difference between confidence and immaturity. Baker was immature. Johnny Manziel was immature.
Okay.
Jameis was a little immature.
Okay.
I'm okay with Russell Wilson, who's married to the most beautiful person on the planet, feeling good about himself.
Well, maybe second.
I mean, again, you get a little. Yeah. I'm going to give you a little.
He's earned the right to have a voice, and he's earned the right where that voice shouldn't have to hit media for it to be heard.
Thank you. You worked hard today. You did a how long is that show before us?
I think 2.5.
No script.
No script.
There's a lot of
people
talking.
think that this is easy what we do.
It is ditch digging. This is outside of literally grabbing a shovel, it's America's hardest job.
You know, people will sit there and shun what you just said.
I know.
But they do not realize how hard it is for you and Joy to do what it is that you guys do at the level you do it every single day. There
are days Joy and I walk out of here with a piano on our back.
Indeed.
The whole network we're carrying. I'm glad one guy gets it.
Indeed. And I mean... Yeah. And you should make that known. You have earned the right to make your voice, let your voice be heard.
Maybe I should leak some stories.
I mean, you got the microphone.
LaVar Arrington, let's hear it for him. It's great seeing you, buddy.
Appreciate you.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.